Hello, my name is Emily Foster. I'm a librarian in the Oakland History Center at the Oakland Public Library. You may have used some of our Sanborn maps in print at the Oakland Public Library. There's a good chance that I helped you with them. They are enormous books of maps that show information about buildings, structural information, and they are really fun to look at, a great way to get an idea of kind of what a neighborhood was like or what a specific building was like. Um, so we have kind of a large but scattered set of Sanborn maps for Oakland in the Oakland History Center, both in print and on microfilm. Today we're going to look at some that have been digitized. The ones that we own have not been digitized, so these are different maps, but some of them there's overlap between the two collections. So we're going to go to the Library of Congress collection, where they do have some digitized Sanborn maps. So if you just go to loc.gov, you can search for Sanborn maps. And actually they have quite a lot of digital collections, so if you've never looked at this page, it can be kind of fun to poke around. But in our results here, we'll go to the collection, Sanborn Maps. And there's a couple steps to get to the maps for Oakland. The Library of Congress has maps for lots of places throughout the United States. If you would like to just have a direct link, I will put it in the description of this video, but I'm also going to show you how to get there right now. So once we click on the Sanborn Maps collection, this page is kind of useful for information about how Sanborn Maps work, what they are, how this particular collection is arranged. But I'm going to tell you some of that stuff while we're looking at the maps for Oakland. So first, let's get to the maps for Oakland by going to Collection Items right here. And then we're going to limit our search results. Right now, there are 35,151 results online, and most of those are not for Oakland. So we'll, on the left here, choose California, and then again choose Alameda County, and again we can choose Oakland. And you can see there are also surrounding cities available, so the link I'm going to put in the description is just to this search for Oakland Sanborn Maps. So Sanborn Maps often will have updates added, which is why each kind of volume of a Sanborn map becomes a pretty unique resource. So most of the ones here on the Library of Congress collection do not have updates, although some of them do. So I'm going to scroll down so I can show you some of these. Yeah, here's one that's definitely updated. So this one is published in 1912 and then updated through November 1951. The one below here is published in 1911, updated in November 1950. So I'm just going to choose one of these that's been updated. We'll do volume 2 here. But let me show you these kind of how the volumes work. So each volume represents like a different portion of the city geographically, and it doesn't always totally make sense what's in what volume. And the way to find that is by looking at the index map, which for the most part they have kind of captured in these thumbnails on the left side. But each of these index maps is actually 2 images, so this is only half of the index map that you're looking at. And you can see there are volume numbers on most of these. The very oldest one doesn't have a volume number because maybe they didn't have volumes yet at that time. But starting with the 1902 ones, there are volume 1, 2, 3. However, like if you're looking at something in volume 3 in the 1903 map, if you find a later volume 3, it might not be the exact same geographic area because sometimes the borders did shift a little bit on the volume numbers. So the index maps are very important. So I opened that volume 2. This is from, we'll say it's from 1950 because that's going to be the top layer we're looking at. But here we see the first page we get to, we have to click again to get to all 118 images that make up this book. So we'll choose this first one. Usually the very first image is the index map or half of the index map. And in this book, it turns out the index map is just one page. So that's great. Unfortunately, I cannot go to full screen because it causes my screen recorder to stop recording. So I'm going to show you this smaller than you would probably like to look at it, but hopefully you'll be able to get the idea. On your own computer when you're browsing, you can use this button to go to full screen and make it a little easier to view. So this is the index map page. Here we have a couple different things. First of all, the biggest part in the middle is the index map itself, which has all these beautiful, colorful patches showing you basically what is depicted on a single page in the Sanborn map. So like this brownish patch for 187, all of that area is on page 187. And so on and so forth for all of these individual little patches. So if you want to go to a particular page, sometimes it works great because the page numbers in the Sanborn map happen to match up to the image numbers. For example, if we know that we want page 2, if there was a colorful patch labeled 2, we would hope that image 2 is page 2. But in this case, it doesn't work that well. Our first page number here is 125. So it's kind of annoying to navigate. What you can do is either just add and subtract to get to the page number you want, to figure out like which page is 267 out of the 118 images, or you can go back to about this item, click again to see all these images, and then you have to just squint really hard to see the page numbers up in the little corners of the page. So yeah, that part of the online Sanborn maps is kind of annoying, but you can eventually get there. I believe in you. So back on the index map page, we've got a couple other things here. Down at the bottom is the map of volumes. So if you're looking at any other part of the city, you'll know that you need to look at a different volume. We're right now looking at volume 2, which is this area. So, and this year there were 8 volumes and a proposed volume 9. And not all of those might be on the Library of Congress website. Not all of them might be in the Oakland History Center, but you'll at least know kind of what the boundaries are. Then up here, 2 more important things. The key, important on any map. This shows you all the notations that are used in the map. Because Sanborn maps are showing you structural information, there is, it turns out, a lot of different structural information that may be important about a building. Everything from the type of construction material to the height of the firewall and type of chimney. It's all listed here, mostly, although not always everything is on here. Um, so the other thing to note is the keys, the notations do change a little bit from year to year. So make sure you're looking at the key that goes with your Sanborn map that you're looking at. I know sometimes there's like on that introductory page I showed you, they had some examples of a key, but don't just use that key to go with any Sanborn map because it might not be exactly right. The other thing here is the correction record. So this one is a little weird because it looks like they have pasted over the old correction record with a new correction record. But basically the correction record is always on this index map page. It's a list of dates when they inserted corrections to the map. So anytime anything changed, like you can see here in the key, there's something pasted on here because something in this corner changed. There's tons of paste-ons over here. It looks like a very nice collage because they've changed, maybe street names changed or the layout changed. And on the individual pages, there will also be lots of paste-ons, especially in one like this, which was originally published 39 years before they stopped using it. So that's a lot of changes in that time period. So basically, we'll just go to the next page. These individual pages show exactly what was in that colorful block that was labeled 125. Usually here you will see around the edges other page numbers or other volume numbers. So that tells you if you want to look at this other side of Croxton Avenue, you need to go to page 131. For the other side of Broadway, you need to look at a different volume. Here, if we zoom in, we will see how some of the things are labeled. D for dwelling, apartments are labeled. The sort of bigger businesses like undertaking, hotels, auto body shops are all labeled more specifically. If there are stores, which I imagine there probably are since we're looking at Broadway here. Yeah, here's a store. It's just the letter S. And then a market. So not everything is super specific. Like this is a restaurant, but we don't know what restaurant it is. This is a store. We don't know what store. But it gives us an idea of what was there and what the neighborhood was like. So this is kind of like, you could just page through this and like take a little trip through history, see what Oakland was like in the past. Some of the other things I will show you. There's a lot of these sort of dashed lines around the outside of buildings. Sometimes, yeah, here's one in the inside of a building as well. Those indicate that there's a wall that's not totally solid, so it's either a porch or some sort of a not solid wall. Every building will have a number on it, indicating the number of stories. So sometimes there's multiple parts of a building that have different numbers of stories like this. The main parts of the building are 2 stories. This little porch is just 1 story. A letter A, like here, is for automobile, so that's a garage. And yeah, the different colors are for different types of construction materials. The street addresses are written in here on the sort of gutter area. So in front of each building there are street numbers. These show an old address and a new address, so sometimes streets were renumbered, and this gives you a really good idea of like but it said it was 3659, and I know it was between these streets, but there is no 3659. But now we know the number was changed. That's why it's now 3469. So the footprints of the buildings on here are pretty accurate, like to like large details at least, like maybe a tower or a bay window will be really obvious. And some things have like lots and lots of little notations. So you might need to look back to the key to figure out what everything means. Here's one that has like concrete floor, tile walls, truss roof, wood posts. WG is wire glass. So it's really quite detailed in some ways and quite vague in other ways. So yeah, they're pretty interesting though. You can see there are creeks on here. Rail lines will be on here as well. I'll just go to another page and see if there's anything else exciting. So basically, because these maps are concerned with like fire, they're fire insurance maps, so they want to know if something is flammable or if lots of people are gathering there. So things like machine shops or gas stations will always be labeled pretty specifically. Here's a greasing place. Things like that are always labeled pretty specifically because they are a fire hazard. And then things like schools, theaters, other places where a lot of people might gather will also be kind of more specifically labeled. Here's Lake Park Methodist Church. And yeah, I will reiterate that the maps on the Library of Congress site do not exactly correlate with the maps that are in the Oakland History Center collection. Although there is some overlap, it is definitely worthwhile to check both, or at least ask us if we have a different map that shows the certain area you're looking for, because we may have some additional maps for you. So I'm kind of just randomly paging through at this point because I have pretty much covered what I want to cover. So I will say goodbye. If you have any questions about Sanborn maps, you can please send us an email, eanswers@oaklandlibrary.org. We would be more than happy to help you. So have a great day and hope to see you soon.